my guest this week is a member of Black Star Riders, a member of Thin Lizzy. It is Scott Gorham. Welcome.
And a member of Planet Earth.
Yes, and currently a member of Planet Rock.
Yeah, there you go.
There you go. We'll keep you in the stratosphere. Growing up in California, were you influenced in the early days by the Southern movement, the West Coast movement? What was it that got you into guitars?
Well, the very, very early days, it would be, and I think everybody knows this about me now, is a surf guitar player named was Dick Dale. And he was, his title was Dick Dale, King of the Surf Guitars, right? And there were no vocals. It was all instrumental.
Yeah.
He was that cool looking, the hair was all slicked back, the Stratocaster, really tough looking guy, right? And like I say, there was no vocals. He was just an instrumentalist. And when you went to see him, he was this great looking guy. And that was my earliest influence, guitar wise. But I think the major influence on me was when the British invasion happened, with the Beatles and the Stones and Jeff Beck and all those people. That's what made me really, as a kid, sit up and go, wow, this is something I really want to do. Listen to these guys. In
the 60s, was it tribal in the sense that the British invasion, the Southern rock movement, there was the mod stuff, there was like a blues scene? Was it that kind of everything in cliques and sections?
Yeah, it was pretty boxed in. But you got pretty cliquey. But me and all my friends, we were, the Eric Claptons, the Hendrix. I know he's American, but Traffic.
Yeah.
Rolling Stones, the Jeff Beck Band, Peter Green, all those guys. Those were like, our major influences.
Well, you say Jimi Hendrix, we could almost claim him as our own because he was at home here, he died here, he considered this home more than anywhere else.
Everything. He broke worldwide out of here,
Yeah.
So, I would say, too, also, wasn't the Isle of Wight, isn't that where he first made his mark?
Yeah, and his last UK festival appearance there as well.
Right. Wow.
You've gone with Axis Boulder's Love.
Yes. When you do lead guitar, it's all these kind of single notes and you're stretching and got the vibrato and all that happening. But with this particular track, it's these chordy, beautiful chordy kind of leads that I certainly never heard before. And I don't think anybody else at that point. So, it's almost like a rhythm guitar kind of thing that he's turned into this really kind of beautiful lead guitar kind of deal, right? So it's a song that I always just thought was great.
So you've started playing. Did you turn professional in California or the States, or did you have to immigrate, for want of a better phrase?
Well, you'd like to think that you were a professional musician back home, right? But really, it took me coming to England and hooking up with Phil to really understand what being a pro was all about.
Of course, you're the longest now serving member of Thin Lizzy, but not the original one. You joined it a few years after they'd been going.
That's right.
Were you aware of them before, because you were saying about the British invasion?
I was not. I've told the story a million times, but I had 30 days on my visa, and then I had to leave England and go back home. And this one pub band that I had was called Fast Buck. I used to get a lot of other musicians up there just so I could meet as many people as I possibly could, right? And one of the guys, he was Irish. Right? His name was Rowan O'Loughlin. And after this gig we did at this pub one night, he says, I know this band that's looking for another guitar player. Do you want me to put your name in? And I said, well, yeah, why not? I got nothing to lose at this point. I said, what's the name of the band? And he said, well, it's an Irish band called Thin Lizzy. And really the first time I'd known about them was actually going down there and getting introduced to Phil and the two Bryans.
Wow. Well, before we talk the early years of Thin Lizzy and the mid-years and the later years and the current years, the Doobie Brothers, it's probably their most famous, or certainly one of their most famous hits, Listen to the Music. Right. That's, for me, that's a windows down driving along the coastline kind of song.
It is, isn't it? It's very American.
Yes, that was it.
But, the thing is, we did a couple of shows with the Doobie Brothers. And one day, they came in our dressing room and said, hey, does anybody want to get up with us tomorrow night and play jam on Listen to the Music? Oh, hell yeah. I said, I'll get up there. So the next night, and I hadn't really thought this through, because after our set, my guitar went in the truck, my amps went in the truck. I got no equipment now. So they had me this guitar where the strings are much heavier than I'm used to. This little amp I have no idea how to get any kind of like a decent sound out of. But I'm thinking, what the hell? Look right to my left, there's Michael McDonald. How cool is that, right? And we just started playing, and it was a blast. So whenever this song gets played on the radio, I always go back to that segment in time.
You joined, like you said, you joined Thin Lizzy just after Whiskey in the Jar. When you've joined what is an established band, was it difficult? Do you feel like the new kid in school when everyone, well, not even the new kid in school, the new kid on the second term where everyone knows each other and you're sort of sitting at the back thinking, how's this going to work out?
I definitely felt like the new guy. There's no doubt about it. I mean, when I walked into that first meeting with everybody, I mean, nobody really even wanted to talk to me except Phil. The other two guys, and unbeknownst to me, they had just gone through 25 different auditions with 25 different guys. I had no idea they'd been going through that, right? So obviously they were thinking, oh, great, here comes another one. And he's American. What do we do with that, you know? But Brian Robertson started teaching me the songs and all that. I guess I caught on pretty quickly. So I guess they heard what they liked, obviously, and Phil called me up that night to ask me to join the band. But yeah, I thought Robertson had been in the band like a year or whatever, right? He'd only been there 2 weeks before me.
Yeah, it was a whole new
the
show.
Veteran, you know?
The veteran 2 weeks. You've chosen a classic. Well, actually, I say that. It's a great Thin Lizzy track, but if you ask people to name a load of instant sort of known Thin Lizzy tracks, Romeo and the Lonely Girl from Jailbreak is probably not the first one. Is it your performance on it you like,
yes.
or is it
No, well, I do like it, but you know, it was I call it the happy right hand on this, you know, the guitar style I picked for it. You know, Phil was really into the funk thing too, right?
Yeah.
So he had this bass line, and I just started playing this kind of, you know, funky stride over the top of it, and he loved it, and we just took off from there.
The choice of our guest tonight, Scott Gorham of Thin Lizzy and Black Star Riders. So Thin Lizzy, obviously famous for, they say the twin guitar sound, if you want to be technical, the unison guitar sound. As far as you knew, were you the first band or just the most recognisable band with that sound?
I think it's more the latter.
Yeah.
You got to remember, Les Paul was doing it back in the 50s. The Allman Brothers, obviously, were doing it. I think what was different with us is we were an absolute all-out rock band and playing these harmony lines over minor chords, you know, instead of the major chords. So that gave it also another little twist, you know, to the left. But we definitely we're not the first. I correct people all the time, and you invented harmony. No, we didn't.
Well, I mean, without being too musically nerdy, it's one thing to have a song or two songs where you're in unison, but you became famous for it. So at some point, did you or Phil go, you know, we got this twin thing now, let's just use it more often than not? Was it a conscious thing?
Yeah, no, I mean, from the first time it happened, I think it was on the second album, Brian Robertson had gone out to the studio just to put the single line, just the Lone Ranger single line, and the engineer accidentally had left on this delay, half a millisecond or something, so when it fed back on itself, it fed back in harmony, right? And of course he's going, oh gee, oh sorry man, oh my God, well, let me erase that. We're all going, no, wait a minute, let's hear that back. And you know, we really liked what we heard. I mean, it really fit what we were doing in that section of the song. But and I keep using this word, it was not premeditated at all. We just kind of fell into this thing, and we kept using it more and more because we really liked doing it, you know, so that's how it actually began.
A band who were massive, pretty much your peers around the 70s and the 80s, Queen.
Yes. You know, I think Queen have got to be voted the band with the best comeback ever. We had toured with them for a fair few months in America in the 70s, right? And I'm telling you, these guys were great every single night. And they would just pack out these arenas every single night. Guys like Michael Jackson would show up and all that, right? And I would go out there a lot backstage and just watching what they were doing on stage, watching Freddie. Freddie was, you know, I never saw him hit a bum note, either vocally or on the piano. You just never missed a beat, this guy. I mean, he was just amazing. But, you know, then we spool on to the 80s, you know, and we get to Band-Aid, right? And Queen have kind of gone off the boil a bit here. And, you know, people are wondering, wow, Queen on this Band-Aid thing? I don't quite get this, you know. And they came out, and when they hit Radio Gaga and that whole stadium was clapping with them, it was something I don't think anybody had ever seen before. It was just incredible. And just from those three songs, it just launched them right back to the top again. And they never came off the top perch.
How true is this? Is this rock myth, or did this really happen?
Oh.
Did I'm asking the wrong person, but obviously I can only ask you.
Right.
Did Phil break up Thin Lizzy because he heard Def Leppard's Pyromania, or is that a myth?
Oh, God, no. Phil was the last one to want to break up Thin Lizzy. That was more my fault. We were having problems. You know, with performances were starting to wane a bit. The writing was starting to go a little bit downhill and all that. And I just said to Phil, I said, you know, of all the work that we've done in this band, I feel that we're going to start dragging this thing into the gutter. You know, maybe we ought to, give it a rest, right? And he was adamant that was not going to happen. There's no way, we can keep going. Just don't even talk in those terms. And finally, I just said, Phil, I got to go. I know this is a horrible thing. You don't want to hear it, but I got to go. I got to get out of this thing to get healthy again. It really wasn't Phil. He would have gone there. He would have been there today if he could have.
So, I mean, were you yourself a mess at the time?
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, right, okay.
I'll admit it. That's why I knew I had to, to get out, to get out of this thing, because it's either you stay in there and you make money and the names and lights and all that, and probably die,
yeah,
or you get out and knowing that probably people are going to forget about you, but you're still going to be able to be walking around on this planet, So I took the latter.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of musicians over the years, you can see with their lifestyle, sports stars, actors, you can see what's going to happen. Could you see what happened to Phil with his premature death? Did you think, obviously it was sad, but was it a big shock?
Yeah, absolutely. Phil was, I always call it, he was the Iron Man of rock. He could take more stuff, stay up more days, run 100 more miles than you. But I mean, you could see that it was really affecting him, in a big way. But still, this is the Iron Man of rock, And I had gone to visit him 3 days before he died, and he was a mess, a total mess. But by the time when he saw how actually healthy I was, I think it kind of inspired him to want to get off of that train, and to get better and to, because he was talking about, we need to start writing songs again. We need to get the band back together and go back out on the road. And that's when I looked at him and, Phil, he goes, yeah, I know. I'm telling you, I'm going to get off the gear. I'm going to get healthy and we can make this work, And I actually walked out of his house thinking, I think he can do it. I think he really means it this time. And of course, 3 weeks later, you got the bad news.
Well, a song that's kind of uplifting and is almost, it kind of dovetails, hope and stuff going forward. Journeys Don't Stop Believing. I mean, that's a cheery, almost, dare I say, a cheesy song. It's one of it's a real karaoke classic.
It is. But once again, it was one of those bands that we toured with a lot. We even went skiing together, water skiing. We were I think it was like in the Southwest somewhere, and the promoter had rented 2 ski boats. Because I've been skiing since I was 9 years old, right? And I talked to Greg Rowley, the keyboard player / singer, and he had the same thing. So I said, well, why don't we do this? I'll take out one boat, you take out the other. We'll take 4 guys in each boat, and we'll teach them how to ski, because we knew that nobody else knew how to ski.
Yeah.
So one of the guys in my boat was Phil, and Neil Schoen was in Greg's boat. I taught everybody the rules, all the safety stuff, don't pull yourself up, let the boat pull you. And I got everybody up, and then I got to Phil, and I was really amazed that he was actually even on the boat. So I got him in the water, got the skis on, life jacket, the whole deal, like, let the boat pull you up, don't pull the boat. And he kept trying to pull himself up, man. He kept slamming the water. He was so off that day. And I could see after a while he was getting really tired. So finally, I just said, "Come on, Phil, you're just too tired. We'll get him the next time, right?" Yeah, okay. And I think he was a little embarrassed because he's the guy and he can't get up on the skis. So, but I have to give it to him. He got out there and he tried.
So years later, when Phil's gone, and you've done all your stuff in between, what brings you back, and what makes you brave enough to want to come back without your iconic leader?
Well, it's the songs themselves. I had done so many interviews asking me, are you going to come back? Are you going to try to put the band back together? We all want to hear the songs, blah, blah, blah. And it took me a long time to actually come to this conclusion that I was going to, put a version of Thin Lizzy together and go out on the road. It was John Sykes who kept calling me and saying, I've just been to Japan. I've put 3 Lizzy songs in the set. The audience tore the roof off, man. We got to at least try to do this. And I finally gave in after about, the fifth phone call and a year of talking about it. And we went to Japan, and true to what John was saying, man, the roof got torn off every night, and I thought, wow, this is great. That's when the, emails and letters and all that started to come in saying, we're the people over here that have supported you all these years, and you decide to do this halfway across the world. What's up with that?
Yeah.
And there was so much of that we finally said, well, I tell you what, next year let's actually try to do a proper tour and see what happens, and that's how the ball got rolling.
Well, of course, a few years later is the Ricky Warwick Thin Lizzy years. Yes. And, that was very successful. You've probably got the same philosophy and attitude as Brian May post-Freddie. It's like, if people want to see us, they want to hear the songs, and there's the right amount of members who were there at the time.
Right.
It's for the people as much as it is for us enjoying playing the songs.
That's exactly, what it is. I mean, people want to see how it's done live on stage, and you can only get so much from a record or a CD. It's important to get out there on the road and to try to show the world again what this whole thing called Thin Lizzy was all about. Unfortunately, Phil's not with us. We all wish he was, but we all know that's not going to happen. So hey, here's the next best thing. What do you think?
I wouldn't have had you down as a prog man. You've gone for a Rush track.
Once again, I'm picking all these songs of people that we did quite a lot of touring with.
Yeah.
Right? And Rush were one of those bands that we did a lot of touring with Rush. And I remember the first night we were on stage with them. I'm watching them put up Neil Peart's drum kit. Right, he's got this big cage that's built
house.
around. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? And his drum ticket is putting every kind of percussion instrument all over this cage of his. And I'm looking at this going, yeah, right. Like he's going to hit all that. I don't think so, man. That's all for show. Forget about it, right? Comes the night, I'm looking at him, and he hit every damn piece
hardware
on that cage. Right? I'm like, well, okay, that puts me in my place, right? Great drummer. There were great musicians writing these ridiculously complicated songs, but really, really pulling it off.
Yeah,
every night. So I like